Good evening, everyone, and welcome to RCI TV for another thrilling night of top-tier sim racing. Tonight, we kick off the Multi-Sprint Series Season 3, our third season of action here on Le Mans Ultimate, and where better to start than the legendary Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. 7 kilometers of Ardennes roller coaster with iconic corners like Eau Rouge, Raidillon, and Blanchimont. And unlike Spa's usual reputation for chaos, the weather for tonight is locked in for a perfect, sunny, ideal conditions for flat-out racing. This series once again brings the true endurance flavor to the sprint format with multi-class racing, cutting-edge hypercars sharing the track with the ever-popular LMGT3 category. Expect lightning-fast prototypes dicing through traffic, GTs fighting tooth and nail for every point. I'm John Dalton, your lead commentator. Alongside me tonight on double duty is Ted Edwards. So strap in for a spectacular night of racing here at Spa.
Yeah, John, it's going to be interesting. All the different manufacturer of cars we have here tonight at Spa. Obviously, Hypercar and LMGT3. We've got, at the moment, the looks of it, we've got 18 GT3s, John, and 13, maybe more hypercars, so it's going to be a lot of traffic to be watching out for tonight, and already watching some of the practice. It's a little bit dicey getting through quite a few of the slower class cars, but that's what we like to see. We like to see some fighting, we like to see some traffic and traffic management, but right now we've got qualifying, 6 minutes left for the GT3s. They get 10 minutes each on track. And we'll just have to see what happens. Carlos with the fastest first sector, hoping that it's sort of fixed so we do know if that is correct. But he's 2 corners away from coming to the back stretch, and yeah, it's going to be interesting. Quite a few custom liveries as well tonight, John, has been flicking through in the practice, and some quite nice colourful ones to see on track as well.
Yeah, custom colours always a favourite here. Up in the commentary box, viewing the creativities of various drivers and teams in the communities. Of course, some representing esports teams, others just out for a good time here tonight, and 31 cars on the circuit, if my comms box maths is correct. 13 plus 18 in my head, I think it's about 31. As Carlos rounds out through the bus stop chicane, the first driver, I think, on circuit to set a valid lap time. So the benchmark shall be from the Spaniard driver. 2 minutes 22.929 already, of course, beaten by a few drivers coming through. Christopher Streppen, one of them. Cowley also half a second off the back nearly of Verstappen. Shipston throws himself ahead of Calatayud, and the times are coming in thick and fast in phase 1 here. Brake discs already glowing as they head through La Source. A big wiggle from the Porsche there. Philip Bregster will have some free air on his second lap. Martin Lawrence, a little bit of that sequence there, Ted, not where we expect to see the Czech driver, down in P9 currently, just behind Tom Shipston, but of course ahead of Carlos Calatayud. Olivier, second place, pipping Townsend to the front row of the grid alongside Verstappen very briefly, and Callum Kerrigan, some time out of the comms box, allows him on circuit in the rather colourful Iron Dames livery Porsche. And Ted, you're a bit more well rehearsed in Le Mans Ultimate than myself, but of course no tyre blankets in the real life WEC series. How does that translate as we come, of course, into the qualifying session? Of course, you've got to take a few more laps than what we're accustomed to in ACC with the tyre blankets for the Pirellis there to really get these tyres up to temperature.
Yeah, getting the tyres up to temperature is very crucial. One lap just doesn't cut it in these cars or even the hypercars. I think the temp you want is, well, it depends on what tyre you're using. These guys will be having mediums as the only dry tyre, so I think that's about 80 degrees roughly they need to get into, which is their optimum. And without the fuel in the car, because obviously they'll be running quali fuel, it's going to be quite tricky to get them in there. So about 2 laps will get you there, and in the meantime you've got to try and not lock the brakes or end up having a slide, because that will add graining or flat spots to your tyres, and that's obviously what you don't want, especially with limited tyre sets. So it's going to be tricky for these drivers, and we'll see with the hypercars that it's going to be even more tricky because they don't have any ABS to help them not lock those front brakes. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens. Callum comes across 8th place, not a bad time from Callum there. That's his first valid lap. I think he invalidated his first one.
Say Callum Kerrigan on the board into P10. He goes just inside the top 10 as we see Olivier here. Looks like he's setting himself up for the final dash across the line. Of course, the qualifying, as Ted alluded to earlier, broken up into two halves essentially, sorry, in this 20-minute session. Phase 1, of course, where the LMGT3 cars are allowed to start flying laps right up to the 10-minute mark. We'll switch to phase 2, where only the hypercars may begin their fast runs. Of course, GT3 drivers can finish any lap they've started before the 10-minute mark, but after completing it, they must head back to the garage as soon as it's safe to do so, without, of course, holding up any hypercars that could be potentially beginning their lap. Riding on board, of course, the Corvette C7, a fantastic new car in the GT3 world, doing very well across all the series in the real world. And Olivier standing on the brakes for the top of the Kemmel as he kind of begins the sector 2, the sweeping corners of Les Combes, as he comes out of 7, 8, and 9 all the way down to turn 10 of Bruxelles. It's a downhill braking zone. You can almost use the momentum of the brakes to pitch the car in even harder towards the apex, and it feels like it goes on forever before opening up the steering towards No Name. Turn 11, back the other way we go. Gravel added, of course, to the right-hand side to stop drivers abusing track limits so much as we head down to Poon, of course, turn 12. Again, feels like it goes on forever. You pick one steering angle, you throw the car in, you pray it sticks, and then nail the throttle halfway through for a good run up towards turn 13 and, of course, 14 of Campus. Again, a very easy section of corners on the face of it. Again, easier to get wrong as the weight transitions through 13 and 14. Before we head out to the kind of lowest point of the circuit, essentially Stavolo, turn 15, before we begin the run up through turn 16. Be careful again of track limits on the exit, but gravel added, of course, in recent years here as well. The curve to Paul Frere, the long sweeping right before the left-hander of Blanchimont, turn 17. Set yourselves up for 18 as wide as you can on the entry. Keep the throttle pinned in, throw the car in, and pray it sticks before the run down towards the bus stop chicane, turn 19 and 20. Easy to overcook it on the brakes as the 10-minute mark goes over on the clock. So anybody finishing their laps now will be end of session. And Carlos Calatayud at the top already, 218.852, followed by Christoph Verstappen, not too far behind for the Belgian driver on home soil, before we see Kasperix just behind in P3. Olivier, who we rode on board with, in P4. And Philip Brechter, I think, has managed to sneak a last-minute lap here in the Brabham Lexus as he comes out through towards the second sector here. Down in P5, 0.8 to find for pole. And it's going to be a bit of a big ask, I think, for Philip, of course. Used to be in the RCI esports team, has since kind of flown away towards the Brabham camp not too long ago. And of course, we still do have Verstappen and Lawrence, fellow Czech driver, on the team as well. And Philip there retiring back to the pit lane. I'm not sure, Ted, if he did manage to cross the line with enough time to start another one, and has he been forced to end that lap as we begin to see the hypercars now peel onto the circuit.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he did, John. But yeah, hypercars out on track now on their out laps. We have 19 cars now, so it's gonna be interesting to see how these drivers handle their cold tires. I think for Spa they have mediums and hards. I don't think there is a soft compound. Not sure if well, there you go. They do have softs. They have mediums and softs.
So I think an open tyre choice, of course, on the soft, medium, and hards. Hards will be a little bit too too hard, essentially, to bring in this session. Of course, a very short 10 minutes, so soft or medium is going to be the optimal tire. And now we get to witness a hypercar flying around here at Spa through the 7 kilometers of Ardennes Forest. Hugo Mels, a very well-rehearsed driver in the esports scene of ACC, has been around for quite a while now and beginning to cut his teeth into the LMU scene. And as he comes over the top of Eau Rouge and Radion towards the Kemmel Straight, you can just see how much faster these hypercars are. Of course, lots of downforce. The